Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to our seminar. It's a pleasure for me to welcome you to our seminar this evening. This is a seminar which is co-hosted by 4 different institutions, talking about interdisciplinary work here at the University of Michigan. So first we have the Weiser Center for Emerging Democracies. Obvious from the title of today's presentation why the Weiser Center is involved. We've also got the Center for Russian, East European, and Eurasian Studies, which has been a co-sponsor of the program. The Center for International Business Education here at the Ross School of Business, and finally the International Policy Center at the Gerald R. Ford School of Public Policy. So it's a great pleasure for me to welcome our speaker for this evening. This is Emil Tedeschi. Emil, as you might have read in his biography, is the founder and majority shareholder of the Atlantic Grupa, which is one of the largest consumer packaged goods companies in Southeastern Europe. It's located in Zagreb, Croatia. In 2007, Atlantic Grupa had the largest initial public offering of any private company in Southeastern Europe. And in November of 2010, Atlantic Grupa acquired a Slovenian company called Droga Kolinska for 382 million euros, which makes it the largest cross-border transaction in this Balkan region since the breakup of Yugoslavia. This transaction was stated in the Financial Times as the most important business event of 2010 in the region, and Atlantic Group is considered the standard bearer for economic reintegration in the fragmented lands of the former Yugoslavia. So very, very strong words about this company. At a personal level, Mr. Tedeschi was awarded the State Medal by the President of Croatia in 2010 for his extraordinary contributions to the Croatian economy, and he has been honored as Businessman of the Year numerous times by several publications and organizations over the past 10 or 15 years. He's a member of the Parliamentary Committee overseeing Croatian negotiations with the European Union as Croatia makes a bid for the European Union. He's part of the Committee for the Croatian Social and Economic Council and part of the Croatian President's Economic Advisory Council. Most recently, Mr. Tedeschi received the Heart of Sarajevo Honorary Award for his support of the 17th Sarajevo Film Festival in July of 2011 in Bosnia and Herzegovina. So a very impressive company and a very impressive man. Welcome to Mr. Tedeschi.
Thank you. Welcome everybody. And just normally I don't have such a great introducer, and we prepare a short movie done by Robert Kňaz, a real celebrity in this event. He's one of the most famous Croatian TV directors and screenplayers, and you will see probably why, because I think that he designed a story about myself and company in the little bit funny way, which would be of interest when I travel in Europe, especially in the States.
Atlantic. 2 stories from 2 sides of the ocean. In the spring of 1891, William Wrigley Jr. arrived in Chicago. He was 29, and he had $32 in his pocket and an endless talent for selling baking powder. One day, he decided to offer free chewing gum with each can of baking powder. Before long, chewing gum became more popular than baking powder. 100 years later, on the other side of the Atlantic, Emil Tedeschi founded a company called Atlantic Trade. He was 24, he had 5 employees, and was dreaming of his country winning against the United States in basketball, once at least. Even though he had a remarkable talent for selling tissue paper, one day he decided to try his luck at Wrigley's chewing gum. Soon, chewing gum became the company's core business, and tissue paper disappeared into thin air. Croatia, a country that does not border the Atlantic. Croatia, a country in which Emil Tedeschi founded Atlantic, does not border the Atlantic. But it has the Adriatic Sea, with 1,246 islands, of which 79 are large islands, 525 are islets, and there are 642 rocks. The mainland covers 56,000 square kilometers, and it has 4.5 million inhabitants. The most famous Croatian immigrants in the USA were Nikola Tesla and Tony Kukoc. Tesla invented more or less everything, and Kukoc and his team won a silver medal at the 1992 Olympic Games in Barcelona. The American Dream Team won the gold. Sorry, Emo. Atlantic, a company that is expanding beyond Croatia. In its 20-year history, Atlantic Grupa has been expanding and growing, and nowadays it has daughter companies and subsidiaries in 12 countries, the revenue of $835 million, and 4,300 employees. There are 9 members of the board, 2.5 of whom are bald. The president and CEO of Atlantic Grupa is Emil. In the past 20 years, he has not grown taller, fatter, and he has not gone bald. Yet. But what does Atlantic Grupa represent in Croatian, world, and cosmic proportions? In Croatia, every inhabitant drinks annually 13 liters or 65 glasses of Cedevita, Atlantic's soft drink. In European proportions, Atlantic Multipower is the leading European manufacturer of sport foods and present in all European countries. Multipower is the official partner of the German Olympic Center. In cosmic proportions, Atlantic has produced such great quantities of delicious Argetta savory spreads that they could have encircled the globe with them 5 times at least. Even Saturn would be jealous of such rings. But let's go back to Earth. Emil Tedeschi, a monster from Atlantic. Emil was born in 1967 on one of the 1,246 Croatian islands. Not on a rock, nor on an island, but on the island of Korčula. In Hebrew, his name means rival, which encouraged him to play volleyball, water polo, and basketball in his youth. Until he discovered rock and roll. Regardless of not becoming Jordan and Elvis, he has never given up on sports and rock and roll. At present, he is a silent member of the Pips, Chips and Video Clips band. The sponsor of a world record holder in swimming.
Whoever sets a new world record.
And the owner of the basketball club Cedevita. As every other ordinary businessman, Emil Tedeschi has developed his alter ego. At night, he doesn't turn into Batman, but, as the need arises, into A. Honorary Consul of Ireland. B. Economic Advisor to the President of Croatia. And C. DJ, who under the codename SMS Deutsch makes people dance non-stop. On top of everything, for the last 20 years, he has been unsuccessfully avoiding chores assigned to him by his wife Maya, and he has been successfully getting the worst out of discussions with his 2 teenage children, Lisa and Emil. Future. Dreams about Atlantic. Regardless of all his roles, Emil Tedeschi still has time to dream. He dreams of Cedevita starting its story on the other side of the Atlantic. He dreams of every American drinking at least 100 liters of Cedevita a year. And he dreams of the basketball club Cedevita winning against the American Dream Team. At least once. Or twice.
You know, I'm happy first to be here and not only have the students from the business school, because the context of what I'm going to tell you is a little bit above and larger than business. And business is only way how I and the team in Atlantic express ourselves and how we create the new values. Unfortunately, I was not talented for the art. My big heart is in the music and in all kinds of arts, films, architecture, but no talent, and it's better that I don't sing to you and to disclose a little bit of our history, and without being arrogant, I could say also about success. We started up the business in 91. 91 was the year, 1 year after the collapse of the Berlin Wall, and about lots of changes in the Central Europe. Unfortunately, the country I was born and I used to live, the Yugoslavia, Tito's Yugoslavia, dissolved in very nasty and a way full of blood and destruction. We didn't have a fortune to face a situation of Czechoslovakia when the Czechs and Slovaks separate in a very peaceful and friendly way. We had destruction of hundreds of billions, but even worse, we had the destruction of the dozens of thousands of human lives, and even more people has been injured, and still the whole region is suffering from this terrible war, which I personally didn't believe is going to occur, and very naively I came back from my 6 years of business life in Italy in the January of 91 to work for the British company based in London, to start up their subsidiary company in Croatia, in Zagreb, still as a part of Yugoslavia. Only 9 months ago, in September 91, I found myself personally 5 days in front of my marriage, which was not bad, but with a clear message that I'm jobless, that my company has been closed by the financiers, by the banks who finance the management buyout. And also, just 2 days prior, today of the first bombs which fell to the center of Zagreb, very close where I used to live, and I'm still living there. And, you know, you have a future bride, at that time my girlfriend, then my wife, have no job, and almost you don't have no country, at least no country like we used to have. And you have this terrible war starting between the people of same environment, different nationality, different religions, people who used to go in the same schools, living in the same neighborhood, and even what Croatia was facing is not in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and also later on Kosovo. And in such a destruction, in such a war, there is no black and white pictures, and there is generally good and bad guys, but I learned a lot that life is not black and white, but is gray and gray. A little bit light gray, a little bit darker gray, but it's very difficult to judge any one decision what to do during the really tough times. I never dreamt that I'm going to set up my own company. The normal entrepreneurs say, you know, when I was a kid in school, the teacher would ask in age of 5, all right kids, what do you like to be? And generally the kids would say policemen, or soldiers, or firemen, and I said I would like to be a manager. At that time, in the 70s, in the former Yugoslavia, there was no private entrepreneurship. You can't say I was going to be entrepreneur. The maximum you could see is you can be director, you can be the head of the company, and this was my drive, but I never dreamt about that I'm going to set up my own company. I used to live for the pretty large UK-based company, and as every young man, and even today I have my dreams, but I never dreamt I'm going to set my own company. Maximum I was looking in 25 years to become a senior vice president of that company. And if that company wouldn't go bust, probably I would never set up my own company. Setting up the company in this environment, especially in the same time not be linked by the politicians, and starting the business model by importing the chewing gums, the Wrigley chewing gums, was probably not the most attractive business model at all. I remember that there was a very often older colleagues would say, Emil, what are you doing with a few items of chewing gums? Why you are not investing in something else? You know, the chewing gums is a pretty bizarre product, especially in the middle of the war. Who needs chewing gums? And a few stories about chewing gums. I remember when I was talking first time to the Wrigley representative, there was a Dutch guy, Jack Van Doinen in Ljubljana. He didn't want even to come to Zagreb because he was afraid of the war operation. He said to me, look, Emil, you have to buy from us spearmint, double mint, the juicy fruit, the white, green, and the yellow chewing gum, the established brands from Wrigley, but you have also to try to introduce on the market sugar-free chewing gums. And I remember when we acquired the first shipment of chewing gums and we came to the department stores, the largest department store in Zagreb, the lady who was a key buyer, he said, look, established brands, yes, but the sugar-free chewing gum, till I'm alive, I'm not going to enter to my store. And, you know, I was shocked. What was the problem with the sugar-free chewing gum? And she said, look, who needs a sugar-free chewing gum apart of people with diabetic disease? Only 5 years later, 88% of all chewing gums in Croatia and in the region are sugar-free. Year after, Wrigley launched the product sugar-free chewing gum in pallets, not anymore in sticks. There was again a novelty on the market. Again, strong resistance from the retailers. Today, more than 90% of the sugar gum, or of chewing gum, not only in Croatia, in Europe, are in pallets, not anymore in sticks. This is regarding the novelty, regarding the marketing, but also it teaches me that there is no dogma in life. There is no dogma in business. And all rules, what you learn before your education, through your experience in the business, it's fine, it's important, but never say it's not possible or it will not work. Always leave the part of the open window for the new opportunities, because it makes world moving forward. And even today, in Atlantic, we just say there is no impossible thing. Twice in our life, we acquired company which was a sizable, much larger than our own organization. In 2001, Atlantic acquired Cedevita, which was a part of Pliva, the largest Central European pharmaceutical company. On that time, there was the first Central and Eastern European company which was publicly listed on the London Stock Exchange. On that time, Pliva decided to spin off all non-core operation, and we started bidding for the food division, and we won the process. But that process, we were much smaller than the company which we acquired. The second time was the last year where Atlantic Group acquired Droga Kolinska. The size of business was $500 million. This is enterprise value, which means equity plus debt. And again, we acquired the company which is by size, revenue the same, number of employees about 30% larger target company that us before the acquisition. Which means it's possible, and it's not only possible if you take things for granted. And if you try to think a little bit out of the box, then you recognize that there is a things in the business, like in life, that is possible. But coming back on the early 90s, we developed our business concept by simple things, introducing year by year different FMCG brands in our portfolio. We started with chewing gums, we had Mars confectionery, Snickers, M&M, Mars, Bounty, Twix, and later on, Johnson & Johnson, Durex, Duracell, big brands. And I often say that a business model is like, what is the English expression for harmonica? Tambourine? Accordion, yes. You go from the focus and then you extend. You extend the accordion. The moment you closing accordion, you spin off all the businesses which is not in your focus, and you focus again. In 2001, we decide that this is a time that we invest not only in third parties brands, but we should be having our own brands. And on that time, in 2001, Wrigley used to represent more than 58% of our sales, our turnover. And all our business on that time used to be in Croatia. With the acquisition of Cedevita, which cost us at that time about, on the rate of exchange, let's say average one, about $70 million US. We bought not only a strong brand, which is after the Coke Classic, the strongest soft beverage brand in the region of Southeastern Europe, but we also bought a presence in all countries, Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Macedonia, Montenegro, Serbia. This business has been financed, I would say, in the quite innovative way. The finance structure for that acquisition, and we are back in 2001, and don't forget that until 94, there were no hard currency available in Croatia. You couldn't go to the bank and say, okay, make me a payment of $100,000. There were no hard currency. There was devaluation about more than 1% per day, and versus the hard currency, versus dollar or on that time Deutschmarks, because they were not euro yet. And also, there was inflation ratio about 1% per day. And Croatia, since introducing Croatian kuna in 94, has a pretty stable local currency. But in 2001, there was no NEP, no private equity fund around. There were no any, let's say, modern instrument for the financial markets in the whole territory of former Yugoslavia. And we went to the bank and we said, look, we need practically all the money to finance the acquisition. If we use the term of 100%, we needed 97% of debt with a 3% of equity. And bank said, we are the good company, the target company is good company, we are going to do that. And they release letter of intent, which was backing us in the process of acquisition. In the meantime, happens two things. First, we recognize that the target company which we are acquiring is much more expensive than we thought it's going to be. And the second, the bank withdraw, and of a promise 100 of the loan, they offer us in the end only 35, which means we found ourselves as a best bidder, but completely short of funds. How we finance? Okay, we used the senior loan or the debt from the commercial banks. This was part of one. It was very small equity from our company. There was second element. Third, we were the first company from the whole former Yugoslavia region to use development bank, the German development bank called DEG, which is a German version of IFC on the world level, who participate with a bit of equity, but not only that, they came with also sort of mezzanine finance or subordinating loan, which was a sort of the instrument which is a loan with equity feature. But this was not enough. Then we said, okay, we are going to buy entire company of this food division of this large pharmaceutical company. Do we need all this? Yes, we would like to keep everything, but we need to finance the whole acquisition. And we decided we are going to spin off simultaneously. As we are buying, we are going to sell part of the business, and we agreed to sell the cereal business out of that. And still there was not enough. 1/3 of the funds we were still missing. And in the final discussion with the seller, we said to them, look, it's fine. We feel the company worth $65 or $70 million. You feel this is the right price. we shake the hands, but the problem is how we are going to finance. And they said, how much you miss? We said 1/3. They said, it's easy. You go to bank, you don't need to pay us immediately. Just issue bank guarantee. And I was leading our team. It was at that time a very small negotiation team for M&A. I said, look, but for us the bank guarantee is pretty same like taking the loan from the banks. We can't have one single penny more. And they said, then we have the issue. I said, we know we have the issue. How we are going to bridge 1/3 of the purchasing price? And then I said to them, look, why don't sell us only the brand? We don't need the buildings and machineries and yard where the factory is based. Sell us the brand. I say, are you crazy, Emil? The brand is the most valuable part of the company. And then we were a little lucky, but we react immediately. We say, okay, then let's make vice versa. Let's acquire whole the company and you keep the brand and you lease us a brand on 3 years period for $1 per year, interest free, and we have to do with that brand only business as usual, producing vitamin instant drink. In case we want to produce ice cream, cars, t-shirt, or whatever else, chocolate, under that brand, we have to ask you for the permission. If not, if we run business as usual, after 3 years we paid you 1/3 of the price, remaining price, and you transfer the intellectual property and the property of that intangible assets to our books. And this was the first time we agreed on that. It was pretty complicated by the law because there was no evidence on every similar way that the someone leverage intellectual property and intangible assets in the Central Europe for buying the company. But at that time it was completely novelty. I would say even today it's not very often in the business because people, and especially bankers, more believe in tangible assets, in the building, in the machinery, in the cash and deposit. But if you look today, the large FMCG companies like McDonald's or Coke or Pepsi or Kraft, everybody tried to bring the value of the brand into the books. On that time, the targeted company which we acquired had the value of intangible assets in the balance sheet of 0. It's a question of taxation because the moment you move the value into the books, you are imposed to pay the taxes. But it's pity that many companies are not valuing the real asset of, especially in FMCG industry, where the value of the Coke or value of McDonald's brands or value of Cedevita brand or Vargeta of Cocktail Ferial brands is much, much bigger than all the tangible assets that we have within the company. Based on that fact, the two professors, Mincu from Romania and Panesi from the States, from the Institute of Economic Development from Bled, Slovenia, wrote a business case which won the first prize of the Central European competition of the business schools. And I would say at least on 4 business schools around the world, it's taught the case, Cedevita case, the rationale why we wanted to buy Cedevita, and the B, how it was financed. And I would say it was quite revolutionary for the region. We didn't want to concentrate all our efforts on the region of Southeastern Europe. Even we want to escape from the position depending only on Croatian market, and with the acquisition of Cedevita, we bought our tickets and presence in whole territory of former Yugoslavia. We didn't decide to go further east like many Southeast European company or former Yugoslavian company. And the reason is simply because we grown up business model in the region which is not stable, which was influenced by war, which was influenced by conflict. Still, after 2000, there was more conflicts to come. Even today, it is okay, but it's not 100% okay. If you read through the internet or news what's happening on Kosovo, a few years ago there was a friction in Macedonia between Macedonian ethnical group and Albanese ethnical group. And we said ourselves, if we go further east, if we go Russia, if we go Kazakhstan, if we go Bulgaria, Romania, to all respect to that countries, we are going to the area with even more uncertainty for us, being Croatian-based company. Why we don't go somewhere where it is stable? Why we don't choose the country on market which can a little bit give more balance to our regional presence of a former Yugoslavia region? And we decide to go to Germany. Very rare that companies from our region go west and go to the most developed European market. We chosen the niche. We couldn't go and fight Germans and big players, American players, or large European players on the large scale. We decided to go to the niche of the food for the sportsman and the supplement for the sportsman. And from the Wieder Nutrition International, which is a publicly listed company on the New York Stock Exchange, we acquired a company called Haleco, with the brand which is a #1 in Europe for the sports food and sports supplement, named Multipower, that was mentioned in the movie. The brand which is established on European market since 1977, and which is in that niche a leading European brand. Joe Weider was the guy who invented modern bodybuilding. He is the guy who is guilty that Arnold Schwarzenegger came to the United States and became the governor of California. And somewhere in the 90s, when he was #1 already with the food supplement for the sportsmen in the States, decided to become global. And this fashion of becoming global means for them, let's acquire #1 in Europe. And they did. They bought a company in Hamburg, but they never integrated. When the years of the good economical growth ended, they found themselves with a company in Germany which is creating a loss, completely separated from the American headquarters, and they were looking for someone, I would say, enough idiot, enough brave to acquire it. We bought it for very small money, but every day we were burning 23,000 euros or something around that time, $30,000 every day. Every morning we will wake up, this will go in the air. And you can imagine the shock from the German colleagues when the group of the Croatian business people came to Hamburg, and the Hamburg is the most noble, more hipsters. This is the people, really top Prussians. This is not Bavarian, which are drinking the beer and singing. These people are, even Beatles started in Hamburg. And is there anyone from Mongolia here? I don't want to insult people from Mongolia, but this would be similar, like Atlantic Grupa would be acquired tomorrow from any company from Mongolia. People would be shocked. Croatians, where is Croatia to acquire us, Germans, after American ownership? No way. And we called the meeting. We put everybody in the one very nice hotel, blue-collar workers, white-collar workers, for the first time in the history of the company. They never been together in one place. And I tried with a nice speech to make them sure that they should feel relaxed, and there is more links between Germany and Croatia than between the Germany and United States. Even my family names, Tedeschi, in Italian language mean German. and I talk them about Nikola Pilic, the most famous tennis coach of all times, who won 3 times Davis Cup with Boris Becker and Michael Stich, and once with Germany, and he's a Croatian citizen. And I talk them about a lot they didn't trust. And this is about the corporate culture. How you put these two so different corporate culture into the one melting pot. Having some experience from the region where the people fighted each other in the war, and today they work in the war organization, it was a little bit easier. But the Germans are really hard workers. Any German in the whole? Nobody. This is the people which follow order the best. You can learn this from entire history. And you can do everything with them. You can say you have to work harder. You have to say instead of 9 to 5, we work from 7 o'clock in the morning to 7 in the evening. You can say to them, from day one, you are going to have your cell phones, Blackberries, and laptops on, even during the weekends, and they will follow. But you can't impose to them that they are going to have fun with you. You can't say, look, let's have a fun. Because their way of having fun is maybe different to our way of having fun. And after 6 months, we had our annual conference in one of the nicest island of Briuni, where the President Tito used to have his summer residence. This is a fantastic natural park. And under the Byzant ruin, we had the international band. It was actually some reincarnation of famous Boney M disco band from the 70s and 80s. And at one moment, my deputy saying, Emil, we done it. I said, what did we do? Say, look on the stage. Say, on the stage there is a band playing, and then I recognize 3 girls from Hamburg, from marketing department, dancing with the band. And I said, yes, we done it. They felt relaxed. They had this trust in the front of all audience, of the new colleagues, freely to dance and to celebrate. And this is a magic if you create within the team of the different culture, of the different attitude. You know, Greek people say no and shaking hands like this. And all other world is saying no like this. You know, this is why we are different. But if you really create the atmosphere of the trust that people can relax in the free time, because this was not the obligatory party, you know. This is a party I like, I don't like my speech, you like, you don't like, you go out, it's fine. Now, in a moment when we acquired last year Droga Kolinska, the best witnesses, best integrator agent for us were German colleagues. You know, Slovenia and Croatia used to be part of the same country, of same states for centuries. There's only 2 European neighboring nations who never had a war in between each other. In the Habsburg Empire, we were same country. In the Kingdom of Yugoslavia, between First and Second World War, we were same country. In Tito's Yugoslavia, we were same country. Now we are independent states. And the level of the relationship between Slovenia and Croatia was the lowest ever. And if you make any sort of poll, 80% of Slovenes would hate Croatians and vice versa. And in that moment, we made our candidacy to acquire the largest Slovenian food and beverage company, with some brands which are national heritage of Slovenia, like Bar Cafe. Bar Cafe is the strongest brand of FMCG of all brands in Slovenia. Stronger than Coke, stronger than Milka, stronger than Pepsi, stronger than McDonald's, stronger than Red Bull. The whole nation of Slovenia wake up with bar cafe. And now, in this competition, there is 55 competitors, 33 strategic, and 22 financials. There is a smaller company than Droga Kolinska, this is Atlantic Grupa, who is raising the interest of acquiring the company. And this was hurting the Slovenian pride. And the Slovenians, even a part of EU, they are the less privatized country in Europe. About 80% of economical wealth is still in the hands of government or para-governmental funds. And all advisors told us, all big, you don't have a chance. Said, just let us talk to these people. And we introduce in our negotiation team also the German colleagues who were witnesses. Similar situation, few years earlier, who were one of the best advocates for us that this is good for the company to be acquired by the strategic investor, not financial investors, that we are going to maintain and keep all production sites, that we are going to keep all the brands, that we are going to keep all the jobs, and that we are also going to respect the corporate name of Droga Kolinska, which means for the Slovenian citizen and for Slovenian local community as such, that this is not going to be ruined. We won, we raised the money for that acquisition, which altogether was $500 million in less than 4 months, which was quite a record time, especially if we know that we talk about 2010 and the economical crisis came already to Europe 2008. It was not easy. We increased our capital through the stock exchange, and we have 15 institutional investors putting all together 86 million euros. The rest was financed by the reserves from our company and with a senior loan from the bankers, plus participation of EBRD, European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, with the mezzanine finance. And this became the largest transaction in M&A of any private company in the last 20 years in the region. I would say, if you would ask for betting, we could have for $1 that we are going to winning the process something about $10,000. Nobody will give us one single chance. Today, Wrigley chewing gums are about 4% of our total sales. Since 2001, where they were representing about 58%, we increased 2.5 times the volume of Wrigley sales, but which means that we increase organically and by acquisition other groups of products. And today, Croatia represents for us only 26% as a market, and around 80% of our total sales are our own brands. In 2001, 0. We made in 20 years the growth that we can proudly say that we are Central European small Nestle company, sort of Nestle. We are #1 player in the coffee in the region. We are #2 in the soft drinks. We are #1 in the savory spreads. We are #2 in confectionery. And we are #1 by far in the food supplement, even the mainstream food supplement and the sports supplement, even on the European level. Today, we are running the very complex organization of 4,300 employees. We are present on the 30 markets. And today we have a different headache that we used to have in 91, in 98, in 2001. There is no formula for success, and I don't want to be modest that I don't want to say that we didn't make a success. We did a lot. Even for me personally, for the members of the team, it's such a normal because we live every day. But when I meet someone who haven't heard of me 5 years or 10 years, say, gosh, you know, how much did you grow? The reason of our growing is quite simple. It's not even strategy, it's a mantra. Let's not depend on the factor one. Don't depend on the one single supplier. Don't depend on one single product. Don't depend on one single customer, market, and especially don't depend on one single man. For that reason, I could be today with you. Atlantic Group is not a one-man show. There is a tremendous team who is really responsible for the business. At the same time, we have a similar mantra. Be number one in everything what we do. And coming back on another proverb or suggestion, kill dogma. I respect all religions. I'm not religion myself. But always ask what's behind. There is no the end. There is entire space. And the dogma, not in the religion way of thinking, in the philosophical way of thinking, is killing the business. And even today, where the world is, we have to fight the dogma, because the world is not going to continue in the way it used to be in the last 20 years. It's necessary to find some new formulas. And there is no impossible mission. And everything is possible. Run away with me. It's a quote by Jim Kerr of Simple Minds in one of the famous songs from the year 80s. And because it's a 5 to 6, and I can go for long like a Fidel Castro, you know, for 3 to 4 hours, no issue. I will invite you to make all the difficult questions you can. Thank you very much.